Guys, look at this. Most of you go to the store, you buy a jar of red sauce with some meat, and you call it Bolognese. Stop it. That is not a ragu, it's a crime. Or many chefs that do Bolognese the wrong way, please don't follow that. Today I'm going to reveal the secret to a rich, authentic Bolognese. There is one specific step one ingredient that almost everyone outside of Italy is missing. And without it, your sauce is just a basic meat sauce. With it, it becomes a masterpiece. So let's go into the kitchen. Authenticity starts with the soffritto. Soffritto are equal parts of celery, carrots, and onion. This is the holy trinity of Italian cooking. We don't just cook them, we sweat them in olive oil until they are soft and sweet. I also like to blend my soffritto. It's a technique I like to use because it disappears in the sauce, but not for Bolognese, okay? I blend my soffritto for other sauces, but for the Bolognese, we want to have those chunky pieces of soffritto. It adds flavors, adds an incredible experience to the Bolognese. An important step is the cooking of the Bolognese. You can use cast iron or any pot, and you can use two techniques. One, the lid on, one is lid off. With the lid on, it means that you don't need to add too much water in it. All you have to do is to stir every half an hour to make sure the sauce doesn't get stuck to the bottom. Cook it gently, medium-low heat, and that cover, that lid, will keep the moisture inside. And you probably don't need to add any water according to the pot you're using. If you take off the lid, then your sauce will dry up faster, which means you need to add boiling water in it, okay? And stir more often. So that's something that it's completely up to you, depends on the technique that you're using, okay? But there is one important thing to keep in mind is that even if you're using the method of covering with the lid, the last hour of cooking, the lid has to come off because we really need to kind of dry up the sauce. We need the sauce to reduce and remove the liquids. Please don't forget the Vincenzo's Plate Cookbook is now available for pre-order. Please, it's the first Vincenzo's Plate Cookbook ever. We have recipes from generations to generations, okay? There are simple recipes, there are family recipes that you want to keep, that you want to learn, right? So please get it wherever you are in the world. You can use Amazon. There are more bookshops selling it in Australia, America, and worldwide. So please get it and get a piece of Vincenzo's Plate into your house. We are so excited. It's a very different book. My wife Suzanne wrote the book. So the book is a point of view of living with me, with my family, sharing our recipes. So the book is told in a different way that's never been done before. So you definitely want to get a copy of it. Now, what meat do we use? So we use a mix of beef for the strength, but most of the time it's veal, okay? I know in these days not many people use veal, but veal I think is a lot better than beef for Bolognese. But that's completely up to you. And pork, or even better, fatty pancetta. When you can add fatty pancetta together with the soffritto, and then you add pork mince together with the beef or veal, it's the ultimate Bolognese. When you listen to the sizzle, okay, you want to add the meat and you want to cook it properly, but you do not want to burn or overcook the meat, okay? The meat should be, I don't want to say gray, I don't want to say slightly cooked, but it should be cooked enough, but don't forget the meat cooks for 4 hours in the sauce, okay? So the meat should not become dark brown or should not be overcooked. It should just be a little bit darker than gray, if you know what I mean. An important step, wine and tomato, the balance. Now, many people use red wine, even though in the original Bolognese, white wine was used. But this is up to you. You can use white or red. I use red most of the time because I want a bold, rich sauce, but some people like to use white to get a more elegant, delicate sauce. So you want the wine to evaporate until you only smell the grapes, not the alcohol. So I will say 5 to 10 minutes. That wine will deglaze the pan and adds flavors to the meat and tenderize the meat. It also brings together the meat and the soffritto. The tomato, well, Bolognese is not a red sauce, okay? So it is a meat sauce. So we add a little tomato paste. We had some passata. You can put some peeled tomatoes, okay? But not too much. It's very important to balance it, right? So I would say for a large patch of Bolognese, you might use 1 bottle of passata, 1 can of peeled tomatoes, and some tomato paste. It's not a lot when you make a big batch, let's say a kilo of meat. Now, please guys, make sure that you only add the tomatoes once the wine evaporated, okay? And do not add the wine into the tomatoes, right? Tomatoes always go after the wine is evaporated. And so now the secret finish is the milk. Full cream milk is something that many of you don't consider, okay? Some nonnas in Bologna use milk instead of wine. So to tenderize the meat, they use full cream milk, and it kind of works. It tenderizes the milk, it's a good technique, right? But it's not very common. Majority of nonnas and chefs in Bologna, they add the milk, full cream milk, right at the end. And I'll tell you why. The sauce is almost done, but it's missing that velvety professional finish, okay? This is the step that most people skip, you know, the milk. What is the milk going to do to that kind of dry bolognese? Remember, I said to you, if you use the lid method, the last hour you remove the lid. So you want to kind of reduce the liquid of the sauce. You want to dry up the sauce. If you don't use any lid at all, you want to make sure you keep the sauce moist, but at the same time, after 4 hours, kind of dry. So this is when the milk can really play an important role. We add the milk at the end because it balances the acidity of the wine and the tomato. It binds the fats together so the sauce doesn't feel oily. Most importantly, it coats the meat and makes it creamy. No, don't use cream. Don't think about using cream. Full cream milk. Now look at that. The color shift from dark brown to a rich, silky orange. This is the secret of the perfect Bolognese ragu. Many nonnas in Bologna do this, so it's not weird, it's good. Now, how much milk do you have to use? You don't have to use too much. Could be half a cup of milk, 1 cup of milk, depends on how much you're doing it. But I will say start small and then you add more if you need to. How do we serve the Bolognese? Now, please don't use spaghetti, okay? Because spaghetti is not the correct pasta to use for Bolognese ragu. Spaghetti is too thin, so the spaghetti cannot hold the meat and the sauce at the same time. You need to use tagliatelle or any flat egg pasta like pappardelle or fettuccine or even rigatoni, so the sauce goes inside. You need pasta that can hold the heavy meat sauce. When you eat tagliatelle with ragu, you have like a velvet on the tongue. No acidity, just pure deep meat flavor. So go to Vincenzo's plate to get the full recipe. You can find my friend David authentic Bolognese ragu. It's a recipe from his nonna from Bologna. You can find the ancient Bolognese ragu before it went on the books, which it was made differently, and chicken livers is involved. Or you can find my ultimate Bolognese recipe, which I combined my friend David recipe and the best Bolognese I've eaten in Bologna. I combined the two recipes to create a masterpiece. So try the milk at the end and tell me what you think. And please do not add the wine into the tomatoes. The wine goes first, tomatoes goes after. Okay, don't forget that. Now thank you so much for watching this episode. I will see you on the next Vincenzo's Plate video recipe. E ora si mangia a beautiful ragu made by Vincenzo's Plate.